That's good. All right. So, full disclosure before we start, I'm not a relationship coach. I'm not qualified to tell anybody what to do with their love life. I got a cat who barely tolerates me and a phone full of half finished text messages. What I am is a reader, a voracious one. And when I read something that rearranges the furniture in my head, I bring it here. That's the whole show, folks. I'm not handing out advice today, I'm handing out information. What you do with it is on you. Right on? Today, it's two things that landed on my desk in the same week and started arguing with each other. One's a book on attachment theory. It's by this couple, Amir and Rachel Heller. It's called Attached. Modern stuff. And then the other thing is, I love this guy's name, Sadhguru. He's an Eastern philosopher who talks a lot about the difference between love and attachment. And weirdly, they're saying almost the same thing from two completely different directions. So the book lays out this idea, I'm paraphrasing, of course, that a lot of us have wired ourselves to confuse anxiety with attraction. There's this cycle: silence, panic, relief. Somebody gets quiet, your stomach knots up, and when they finally text back, hey, one word, your whole body floods with relief. And that flood feels like passion. It feels like something real happened. But here's the reframe. That's not chemistry, that's a stress response getting mistaken for a spark. Caspian doesn't do loops. Caspian eats at 6, sleeps at 9, and has never once ghosted me for 4 hours just to make me feel something. Love cats. So the book actually tells this little story. Excuse me, dude. A woman goes on a date with somebody calm. He calls when he says he will. Clear plans, no games. She walks away thinking zero spark. Meanwhile, the guy who kept her guessing, the one with the wild swings, she read that as true passion. Same nervous system, two completely different guys. One triggered it, one didn't. And she mistook the trigger for the connection. Now, the other side. Now, here's where the other source comes in, and it comes at the exact same angle from a totally different direction. Same idea from a totally different angle, rather. This teacher makes a distinction between attachment and love. Attachment, in his framing, is rooted in a sense of inadequacy. Stop. I'll get to you after. A feeling that you're incomplete. So you grab onto someone to fill the gap. Love, on the other hand, he treats as liberating, not entangling. Something that settles into you rather than something that demands more of you. He also draws this line between longing and need. Lust, he says, is a strong need. Love is more like a belonging, or a longing, rather, you settle into. Right, Caspian. So put those next to each other. One says what feels like spark is often just panic wearing a costume. The other says what feels like grabbing and gripping isn't love, it's inadequacy, looking for a host. Different vocabularies, same warning. There's one more piece from this same teacher I want to bring in, because I think it's the practical hinge for everything else. He says most people build relationships trying to extract happiness from another person instead of bringing happiness to the relationship. He calls it putting people in a juicer. You want to squeeze them for all they've got. Two people both trying to squeeze joy out of each other. That's not partnership. That's a quiet tug of war. And it becomes a battle every time. You ever have a conversation with your spouse and it feels like a wrestling match? His fix isn't find the right person. It's turn inward first. Look at yourself deeply before you go looking at someone else. Yeah, I know, real profound stuff coming from a cat who's never had to look inward because he's never once questioned himself. So that's the information, folks, not the advice, the information. Just for today, if something feels like a spark, it might be worth a second look. Is this excitement, or is this just my nervous system recognizing an old familiar kind of chaos? And on the other side, if love feels like gripping, like needing, like extracting, that might not be love. That might just be inadequacy wearing love's clothes. I'm not telling anybody what their relationship is. I don't know your relationship. I know what I read this week, and I know it made me sit with my coffee a little longer than usual. That's Table Talk. Caspian, you got anything to add? Yeah, I figured. Be kind to each other out there.